We've talked a lot lately about OnlyFans, the subscription website where fans can pay to follow all sorts of people, chefs, musicians, athletes. But it should be said, a large part of the OnlyFans business is about adult content. When the company announced it would ban such content from October the 1st, there was an outcry from many of the creators, including sex workers who used OnlyFans to work from home during lockdown. Well, the news tonight is that OnlyFans says it will continue to provide a home for all creators. Heaven is a London-based stripper who is co-host of the podcast Strippers in the Attic, and Heaven used OnlyFans during lockdown. And we spoke to you recently, Heaven, and we heard about how important OnlyFans has been. What do you make of today's news?
To begin with, I was very excited. I was really happy with the news. And then I kind of looked into it a little bit further, and they haven't made it overly clear as to whether they're actually retracting the ban completely or whether they are just suspending it. So right now it's just technically suspended, which still leaves me feeling a little bit worried.
What will you do?
I think, if I'm completely honest, OnlyFans has made it very clear that they're only sex worker allies when it suits them. And for that reason, I am most likely going to take my custom elsewhere. I think a lot of sex workers from the platform have already done so.
So, in fact, this announcement, whether it's permanent or temporary, the very fact the initial announcement was made has put off a lot of people and they've taken their business elsewhere.
Yes, I think probably overnight, the amount of creators and customers that would have deleted their accounts was probably quite a shock to them. I don't think that they were expecting the backlash that they got. So, yeah, I reckon they've already lost a lot of customers.
How did you get started on OnlyFans?
Well, I actually got into OnlyFans, obviously, when London, England went into lockdown on the 16th of March. I was left completely jobless with no income whatsoever. So that wasn't fun. I'd heard about OnlyFans, so I very quickly got myself onto the platform. And I think within about 48 hours, I was a verified creator on there and making money straight away. And
as the months went on?
Yes, I continued to use OnlyFans as a source of income throughout all of the lockdowns. So it's been, so helpful. It was a complete saviour to me. So yeah, it's been really, really helpful, really useful. I know a lot of other sex workers have used it as well. So yeah, I think it has been a great thing through lockdown for us.
And is this being used by sex workers to supplement their income or replace it?
Definitely to replace it during lockdown. As I said, we're all left without jobs because we normally do in-person work, whether you are an escort or whether you are a dominatrix or a stripper. All of these things tend to be in person. Obviously with lockdown not being, there were no clubs open, not being able to go in person and meet my clients, that was very difficult. So none of us had income. OnlyFans was great for that.
And I suppose, too, because some sex work is inherently risky for the person who's in business, whereas working from home would be inherently much safer.
Oh, so much better. So, desperate times call for desperate measures. And I think without OnlyFans being so readily available, I think, a lot of people that maybe would have worked in a club beforehand would have actually been forced to go and meet up with their clients outside of the security of a club, which, of course, can be dangerous for many different reasons. So I actually think that OnlyFans has done a great job of protecting those sex workers during the pandemic. I can definitely speak from my experience for sure. If I actually didn't have OnlyFans, I definitely would have gone and met my clients and put myself in a position of danger. So I'm very thankful for it this past year.
What do you make of this announcement?
I'm pretty furious about it, as are, most of the sex worker community. I understand that it is driven by MasterCard and other credit card companies that are generally American-based, which have recently updated their policies concerning adult content. So it kind of makes it impossible for OnlyFans or sort of platforms like that do sell sexually explicit content to actually comply with the new rules. Therefore, they're not able to get funding off these companies. It's pretty awful. Everyone's very upset about it.
Does that make sense, what the credit card companies are doing? Because presumably hitherto they've made quite a bit of money out of you and everybody else.
They have. And I mean, this is where my issue really is. It's like, they've sort of rode off the back of sex workers up to the top. They've made their millions and then they're quite ready to just dump them, and take the moral high ground all of a sudden, which is a little bit confusing. For better
or worse, the internet, online activity, sex sells. It's always been there. Do you think other companies are going to step in where OnlyFans is disappearing?
I hope so. I'm pretty sure that there will be. Yeah, I think someone is going to jump on this and potentially make a lot of money. I think OnlyFans has made a pretty terrible business decision there. But there's definitely room for new companies and new platforms now.
We've talked about how the pandemic has changed sex work. Now that the country is opening up again, is it changing back?
It's not quite as it was. I have actually gone back to physically being at my job again. So I am back in a nightclub working as a stripper. It's definitely not the same. There's not nearly as many clientele, nor also not as many girls. But I mean, the city of London is completely dead, where it used to be the place where everyone after work would sort of go to strip clubs. It's definitely changed. It's definitely not going to be the same as it was pre-COVID anytime soon.
Good to talk to you. Thanks for that. That's Heaven, London-based stripper who is a co-host of the podcast Strippers in the Attic.